Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it is time to have our first showdown in the Badlands card review. 12 cards were revealed today, including new Highlander, Legendaries, Excavate cards. We'll go over all of them. Are they broken? Are they bad? Well, we'll probably be wrong about all of it, but we'll try and review it accordingly. If you want to win these cards, we just announced our latest giveaway of 2 regular pre-orders, 1 mega bundle out of my pocket. To enter that giveaway, all you have to do is like and comment in the video in the description below, the one I put out like 15 minutes ago or so. And yeah, just comment, like, subscribe to the channel. Every 1,000 subs until all the cards are revealed, which I believe is at BlizzCon, I will add another mega bundle. So hit that sub button, make me go broke. So starting off, we have a new Death Knight card, a 3 mana Frost Rune card, 1 Frost Rune, so rainbow eligible, deal 3 damage, which is actually not great for 3 mana. However, you excavate a treasure. If you missed the last video, I went into explain what excavate is, but basically every time you excavate, you get a treasure added to your hand. So the first time you excavate, you'll get one of these common ones, which could be a rock, which does 3 damage for 1 mana, or a 1 mana 2/2 rush. And then from there, you'll get a rare after you excavate it again. So you play one of these, you'll get a common, you play another, you'll get a rare, you play another, you get an epic, and if you're one of the 5 evil classes, which I believe Death Knight is, you get a legendary payoff card, which we don't know yet. We don't know what they are yet, I think, for any of the classes. They have yet to be revealed, but you gotta imagine when you have Ogrefist Boulder, a 3 mana location with 2 durability, it's gonna be pretty darn good, right? So we don't know yet. It makes it harder to evaluate this card, but I think Excavate, the cards look pretty good. It's card advantage. You cannot pick what you get. It's 1 out of 5. It's random, but the legendary payoff you get will be a 4 mana legendary. You know that right away, no matter what. They said they're all 4 mana legendaries, so that'll be guaranteed. But I'll give it a 3 out of 5 in standard, 2 out of 5 in wild, where Deathlight pretty much has never seen play Frostwise, but you never know. But I feel like, yeah, these treasures probably gonna be pretty impactful, and like only 1 frost requirement. You can play it in triple frost, it's more burn, potentially leads to some good stuff. And you're gonna want to run excavate cards to get that payoff, which I assume will be really good, right? Like they rarely put out like completely terrible cards, right? It can't be terrible. Next we have the Harrowing Ox, another frost, 1 frost card, a 7 mana 7/7 taunt. It's an undead and a beast battle cry if you've excavated twice. So if you've played this card twice, right, that'll activate this. Your next card this turn, so you can't bank it, costs 7 less. So you could play a Harrowing Ox into a Harrowing Ox into something else, right? That's pretty insane. And it's a taunt, right? It's that's pretty relevant. So it's like almost a 0 mana 7/7 taunt, basically, if you have another 7 cost card and if excavate twice. It's important to know it's just the next card. So if you only have like a 1 mana card in your hand, it's not going to be great. So you're going to have to run some cards to really utilize that. It doesn't have to be 7. It could be 6. It could be 5. But overall, you're going to be wanting to run a bit more of a top-heavy deck, a mid-range deck. And I think that could work in like a Frost DK, honestly. You could play this into Frostworm's Fury, even. That could be pretty good to a Manipulator. It's got potential. Cannot go into the prime though, but you can play the prime for 1 mana, right? If you have 8 mana, you play it for 1. So a lot of implications for this card. It's insane mana cheat with the taunt. So I don't know. I gotta give it at least a 3 out of 5 in standard. I think in wild, again, a little bit too slow, but regardless, love my mana cheat. We all know we're not getting sick of that at all, but at least it is for 1 turn for 1 card, so it shouldn't be that abusable when you have to spend 7 mana on it itself, unless you've discounted this somehow to begin with. Next we have the Messenger Buzzard, a 2 mana 1/2 beast for Hunter, so terrible stats. What is going on? Death Rattle, you draw a beast, give minions in your hand +1/+1. So it's like a Lion's Bannerman for Paladin, right? The 3 mana 2/2 that draws a minion that buffs them in your hand. This is basically that, but delayed on a Death Rattle minion. But you know, you could proc death rattles, at least in wild, with certain death rattle cards and go for that hand buff strategy. We already saw in the last mini set that 4-mana 3/3 beast that summons has a death rattle of summoning a beast of stats equal to its attack. So there's synergies already going on with that. You have Hollow Hound, you have all the Rushers, Chargers, King Crush. There is some potential for it. It's just, it curves into your with the 1-drop, right? You 1-drop Finale, you can buff this up too. It's just, yeah, the stats suck, and it has no taunt, no rush. It's a little bit slow. But yeah, Beast Hunter could possibly run it. In wild, you have like Starving Buzzard, which is the flip side. That's a 2/1. This is a 1/2. They complete each other, kind of. Got the Starving Buzzard, Messenger Buzzard. Might work pretty well in that Beast Hunter, which is always a decentish deck in wild. I will give this a 3 out of 5 in both standard and wild. I think it's a playable card in both formats. And yeah, it's card draw too, which Hunter, outside of the Arcane package, doesn't have a ton of. So that is pretty darn good. And we have the Hunter Highlander Legendary Theldurin the Lost, a 4-mana 3/4 Spider Tank for 4 mana. However, Battle Cry, if your deck has no duplicates, gain immune this turn and attack all enemies. Not just minions, but enemies. So you could hand buff this. You know Mark is going to OTK with this, but it's like Decimator Olga, right? That card will like hit everything until it dies. This just will not die. It's immune. So this can clear the board. It can push incredible face damage. This seems like a really good card in a Highlander Hunter. If this is the only payoff, I wonder if there'll be a neutral Highlander payoff, because outside of this, I don't know if you can really justify running straight up singleton cards in standard, but it's a very, very powerful card. If you took that Highlander part off of it, broken, right? Absolutely nuts. And in wild, you have Dino Tamer Bren, you have Zeph, Reno. It seems like a auto include in any Highlander deck in wild, which hasn't been super great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm guessing we're going to get a neutral Highlander payoff, probably at BlizzCon will be my guess, but maybe before that. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 in standard, a 4 out of 5 in wild. It just seems like a really solid card. The only issue is if Plague Deathlight's really popular, you're never going to get this off. Those plagues, you're going to have multiple of those, or bombs, or whatever. There's always the counters out there for these Highlander decks. I believe Shaman still has that card that can shuffle in those 2 cards that overload your opponent. So there's already counterplay in the game, plus probably other cards I'm not even thinking of that can make Highlander decks worse. But overall, that's never stopped Highlander decks to begin with. So yeah, look out. This looks like a very powerful card. We have the Blast Mage Miner, a 6-mana 4/4 mage minion. Battle Cry, you excavate a treasure. So 6-mana 4/4, not great, but it's got a pretty good ability. For each card in your hand, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So if you have like 9 cards in your hand, this is a 6-mana 4/4, deal 9. It's like a Reno the Relicologist that can go face. That's pretty good. You're going to want to be running, you know, having a lot of draw, but that's not an issue for Mage with like Volume Up, Wisdom of Narganon, all these card draw options. They usually have a pretty full hand. Or you're playing Audio Amplifier, you can have 10 other cards in your hand and deal 10. Just do straight up Reno the Relicologist without a Highlander requirement, and it excavates. And it'll excavate first, I'm pretty sure, so it'll already fill your hand with a card no matter what. Seems solid. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Actually, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 in standard. 3 out of 5 in wild, or maybe even like Reno Mage can run this. But yeah, excavating seems powerful, and this is a good effect already on the card. The stats aren't great, but overall, I think that's actually really solid. And it could go face. So even if your opponent doesn't have anything on the board, you know, then they're just taking a Pyroblast to the face potentially. Seems really strong to me. We have Elise Badlands Savior, the Priest Highlander Legendary here at 8-mana 5/5. We talked about in our last video. Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, summon 4/4 copies of 4 random minions in your deck. Right away, this is like a billion stats, right? It's a billion stats. You can get your Titan, you can get a Colossal, you can get insane cards in standard alone. In wild, you can do Malagos, Velen shenanigans, Radiant Elemental, Lyra, which got buffed, by the way, Patch Notes video. They buffed a bunch on Goro cards. Stay tuned for that later today. Yeah, seems like a nutty card, just a crazy stat bomb, just run a bunch of cards that have that type of effect, or just get a bunch of stats. Like, that's really darn good, and it's copies. It's not thinning your deck, so you still can draw those cards if you want to use them. Anyway, so there's a lot of potential. Ragnaros deals some damage, and it's not like they're 1/1s like Zarek's Cloning Gallery. They have some beef to them. They're 4/4s. I'm going to give it a 4 to 5 in standard. I don't know if Highlander, Priest, and Wild runs this. They already have, you know, Raza, Anduin, Kazakas, all that stuff. Maybe, you know, Zeph. I think they might run it on the new Dragon, the Caverns of Time Dragon. I'll give it a 3 in Wild just because Highlander Priest is so good there. It has a shot, but overall, pretty darn insane stat bomb. And of course, if you're playing Priest, you can, you know, play that 2-mana spell and discover even more copies of these and play them more than once. So again, look out for that. Dehydrate, 3-mana Shaman spell, highlighting the new Quick Shock mechanic for this expansion, Quick Draw. I thought Quick Shot, that's the Hunter spell. Basically, Quick Draw means if you play it the turn you draw it, you get the effect. So you top deck Dehydrate, this 3-mana lifesteal spell that deals 4 damage to a minion will cost 1, which is really good. It costing 3 is fine. It's Shadow Bolt that heals. It's better. Like, it's just a really good card. I could see this going to a bunch of different Shaman decks. The only downside, not a nature spell, which is what that deck likes to do a lot, is run those nature spells. But still, I just see this as a good little control card. Just tempo removal, 1 mana, deal 4 potentially the turn you draw it. I'll give it a 4 to 5 in standard, a 3 to 5 in Wild, where healing isn't the easiest thing to do in Wild, like Shutterwalk Shaman, all that, where you're running like Healing Rain and cards like that. This might actually kind of take that spot. It's less healing, but it removes board. It's pretty darn good. We have the Living Pirate, a Shaman card as well. A 5-mana, 5/4 elemental, Living Prairie, Balcry. If you played an elemental last turn, summon 2 3/3 cows with Rush. They're Starling cows. Look at that artwork. It's hilarious. Decent card. Feels like an arena card to me. Elemental Shaman hasn't been amazing, but I mean, it's, if you have it go off, it's what, 6/6 plus 5/4. That's 11/10 in stats for 5 mana, including 3/3 Rush. I'm not going to completely sleep on it. Amalgams count. There's plenty of decent elementals out there. I just don't know if it's enough to really put over the top. I'll give it a 2 out of 5 in standard Wild, but it's possible. There's enough elemental stuff going on. It may just well be worth running. We have a Trolley Problem, a Warlock card, 3-mana epic spell. Discard your lowest cost spell, so it's targeted, so you get rid of something potentially lower value. You summon 2 3/3 Tram cards with Rush. They look like that. Pretty cool. Quick Draw, you don't discard. You top deck this. Just a 3-mana 6/6 with Rush. It's pretty good. Really good arena card again. I don't know about standard, where I just don't see what Warlock deck's running in it. It doesn't have Excavate. I'll give it a 2 out of 5 in standard, a 2 out of 5 in Wild. But again, 3-mana 6/6 with Rush, no downside possibly. And discard can be an upside, as we know in Wild, but it's a lot harder when it's your lowest cost spell. It's usually better when it's like the highest cost thing or whatever. But hey, again, might have a shot, might be worth running. We'll have to wait and see. We have the Cobalt Miner, basically your usual expansion filler, 2-mana 1/1. Really bad stats, Balcry, Excavated Treasure. Again, we have that graphic. You can take a look at that blog post. I linked it in the giveaway video, where you can get a treasure. I'm sure one deck out there will run it to just try and be able to excavate as much as possible. I'll give it a 3 for that very reason, but it might not see play because it's Novice Engineer, right? Really bad stats, and when you compare to that other Mage card that excavates, that's pretty insane, plus Excavate, you'll see that it probably won't be worth it, but I'll give it a 3 tentatively, a 2 out of 5 in Wild, actually 1 out of 5 in Wild. No way that sees play in Wild. And we also have Sheriff Beryl Bryn, the 4-mana 4/4 legendary Balcry. If you have 20 or less health, open the Badlands jail. Basically, it is a location which allows you to make a minion go dormant for 3 turns. It has 4 mana, but I believe it'll summon right away. And then this has 3 durability. So you can basically shut off a bunch of minions for your opponent for quite a long time. 3 turns is a long time. You can hit it on your own stuff if you're trying to set up some wacky Mark style combo, but you do have to get to 20 or less. So you automatically think of classes like, you know, Warlock, which can damage themselves pretty easily to try and get this out. And that could be a really annoying and powerful location. I'll give it a 3. I'm not super sold on it. All these cards that have ever made minions go dormant have not really seen play. I overrated Maiev back in the day. There's that removal spell, somewhat removal spell in Druid that like makes a minion go dormant either for 2 or 3 turns. Never really saw play. That mechanic hasn't worked great, and you got to get yourself to 20 or less health, which depending on what cards we see may be easy, may not be. But I'll give it a 3 in standard, a 2 in wild. But again, one that I'm really not keen on giving dormant style cards a high rating. And this is the free legendary in the game right now. We'll know by the time the expansion comes out how good this feels, at least. 8 mana 6/6 neutral legendary Thunderbringer. Taunt, has Death Rattle, summon an elemental and beast from your deck, can give you Ragnaros, King Crush, Colossal, like, or the Colossals, like a lot of them, like the Priest Colossal and all that. You can kind of do shenanigans with that Masked Reveler, 6 mana 4/4, where that becomes a 2/2 Thunderbringer. There's possibilities with it. Almost every neutral legendary for free has seen play in a way, and I feel like this will just turn into some scam card in some deck somewhere. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 in standard, a 3 out of 5 in wild. We can like resurrect this and do all sorts of shenanigans, Shadow Essence and Big Priest. It's got a shot. So that's all the cards for now. I believe reveals will start up again on the 19th. So just like in 2 days, we'll have like a day 1 patch review tomorrow. I'm still gonna go over the patch notes later today, so stay tuned for that. But the rest of the card reveals, October 19th up until BlizzCon, basically November 3rd. So we're gonna be busy for a while. Stay tuned for all that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.